Okay, third grade, here we are, Unit 2, Week 1, Day 3. Continuing with our main topic, which are suffixes. We need to learn all of our suffixes. If you notice that suffix has an ES because suffix, the base word, ends with an X. So we've learned how to make plural nouns. Adding S, ES, and we've talked about some irregular plural nouns. We've talked about verbs, action words, how you can add S and ES for subject-verb agreement. You can add ING for making word in a present tense, and you can add the suffix ED. We also learned that ED can make 3 different sounds, right? Id or ed. And duh. We learned that sometimes very few past tense words do end with T, like knelt, dreamt, kept, slept, but they're very far and few between. Usually, it will always end with an ED. So now we're going to move on to a couple other suffixes, ER and EST. Now, ER and EST, they are called superlatives. They make a word better than the next, right? So you can say that I can jump high. My sister can jump higher. My mom can jump the highest. So that is one thing that the ER and EST does. You can compare, right? Higher. This is a superlative because it is the most. Highest. Loud. Louder. Loudest. Okay, get that in your head because then we're going to talk about ER also has another function. Okay, so third grade, we just learned about ER, how you're comparing two things with ER. Loud, louder, loudest, and then EST compares the most. It's called a superlative. But the suffix ER can also do something else. It can turn a noun into someone who does. So, for example, if you teach, you are a teacher. If you learn, you are a learner. So that ER has 2 jobs. One, the ER can compare. Tasty, tastier, high, higher, soft, softer. It can compare. Or it can mean someone who does. Someone who teaches is a teacher. If you are a learner, if you learn, you are a learner. So the ER has 2 functions. The EST just has one, making something the most. We have a few more suffixes to go through, third grade. One is less and full. This means you do not have something. If it's worthless, if something is worthless, it means it has no value. Homeless means you have no home. Now, you keep both of the S's in the suffix less. If you notice the suffix full, usually when you spell the word full, you put 2 L's. I always tell my kids a way to remember that is the suffix full is so full, it can only fit 1 L. And then the suffix less is without, so it can fit both S's. So less means without. Worthless, having no worth. Homeless, having no home. Full means that you do have something. So if you are thankful, you are full of thanks. Full means that you do have something. Beautiful, actually, third grade, beautiful comes from the word beauty. There's your word beauty. And if you are full of beauty, you are considered to be beautiful. We're going to learn that rule of changing the Y to the I. But that's where that comes from. So full is a suffix meaning full of. The other suffixes that we use pretty often, able. If you're able to do something, means that you can do it. So if I can depend on you, then you are dependable. If I can bend you, then you are bendable. So able means you are able to do something. Two more, Y and ly. Okay, so third grade, the other two big suffixes that we're going to learn about, Y and ly. Y is added to a noun to turn it into an adjective. So if you have fluff, that's a noun. But if you want to say fluffy, if you're describing it as an adjective, something might have a crunch to it. But if I'm eating crunchy cereal, that suffix of the Y is added to change that noun, that base word, that noun, from a noun to an adjective. LYs are added onto words that would describe verbs. So they make words adverbs. For example, if you move quick, you would say that you move quickly. How do you move? How do you move? Quickly. Or maybe you move slowly. Third grade, let that sink in. We've learned a lot of suffixes, right? We've learned about the S and the ES. We've learned about the ING, present tense. We've learned about the ED, how it makes 3 sounds. Able, full, able to do something, full of something. Remember, it's so full, you only put one L. Less, the opposite of full, but it has 2 S's. Y makes a noun, turns a noun into an adjective. Ly makes an adverb describing a verb. ER compares 2 things or says technical difficulties. My cord keeps coming out, third grade. I have to get some electrical tape to fix it. ER compares 2 things or talks about someone who does, and then EST is a superlative meaning the most of something. Let that all sink in, because next week we're going to talk about one-to-one-to-one words with suffixes. So you really need to get a handle on your suffixes before we can start that. Tomorrow I'll go over the sound alike words.